Join me today as we talk about the Snow White debacle at the box office. Doge is funding a whole bunch of money for little kids that are having SBA loans. Brad Garlinghouse is on Fox, and things just keep getting better and better. Stick around. You just might learn something. Welcome to the Eric T Conversation. I'm Eric T. Well, some great stuff's going on right now. I just got back from South Carolina, spent the weekend at the Citadel, which was amazing to watch that. My nephew is no longer a knob. He has now joined the regular Corps of Cadets for the class of 2028. I've never actually, in all my time of being in the military, ever had two instances in the same day when I got two national anthems. I did one at the passing review and then one when they went downtown Charleston and they did another ceremony and played the national anthem again. It was very good, very patriotic, a lot of history. I'm really glad I went. I'm extremely proud of my nephew. He's going to do really well. And look out, you're going to have a new astronaut in about 15 to 20 years from now. Big news over the weekend, the Snow White unanimated supercalifragilisticexpialidocious movie, Snow White, came out and it flopped. Grossed about $45 million nationwide and cost about $250 million to make. So this is what's going on with Disney. Disney is insisting on going woke on all their projects, reinventing it to get diversity in all of their film and their animation and even in their movies. And I just don't understand why we have to keep doing that. You know, this one didn't even have the Seven Dwarves because Peter Dinklage, a small person, right, little people guy, he pissed and moaned about, when are we going to stop using dwarves to play dwarf roles? I don't know. Maybe because little people don't get a lot of these roles because they're little people. And when they have an opportunity, like The Wizard of Oz or Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, they give them an opportunity. So he obviously thinks he made it already. He's a big star. He felt that it was necessary for him now, after all these years, to come out and say, we don't need to do this anymore. Even though he's already made it big, right? He's a superstar now, very well known, was on Game of Thrones, probably the role of the lifetime on that show. But he felt it was necessary to do that. So they didn't have any little people playing the dwarves in Snow White. Now, Snow White was obviously a Hispanic girl. You know, I don't like to say the word Latino. She was a Latina. You know, I don't like to say the word Latina or Latino. She was Hispanic, and it was very diversified. And the whole story plot was significantly different from what I've read, the people who have reviewed the movie. I will not go see it. So here's a little history on you. The original Snow White came out in like 1937. It was a first full-length film animation from the Walt Disney World Productions. It went to mass audiences in 1938, and it was known as a catalyst to propel Walt Disney World to what it is today. That movie actually started it all. So it's kind of sad that they have to reinvent everything. And every time they do a new one or a reboot of a film or a movie, no matter what it is, it turns out to be garbage. Star Wars, the original ones that came out in 1977 and then in 81 and so on, you know, when they decided to do the other ones for the prequel of all that stuff that happened, how Anakin became Darth Vader and those, they were flops. They really weren't that good. They weren't as good as the originals that we saw. But they consistently do that in all these types of films in Hollywood. And I don't know why they keep on remaking these, because now the other ones that they're doing with the Star Wars franchise are garbage. There's a couple of the series that I enjoy watching. I like Mandalorian, but for the most part, they're not that good. And we keep remaking these movies, be more diversified, represent more of the country. I mean, you know, honestly, it's like 11, 13% is black in the United States. That's about it. And the rest is white and other nationalities, Asians. You don't see any remakes with Asian women in there. No, just black and Hispanic is which they're going to. So it was a huge flop. And that's what happens when you keep trying to go woke in Hollywood. Hollywood is like going to be a graveyard. They are exiting California and these other blue states in droves to the point where they're going to start losing congressional seats. That's right. When your population starts getting smaller, you start losing congressional seats. So your districts are now smaller. Your state population is smaller by the Census Bureau. And now they're going to lose major congressional seats in California, New York, Oregon, and places like that. So there's repercussion when you consistently act the way you do in these blue states, being woke, high taxes, high crime. People are fleeing these places and running for their lives. Places like Florida, Texas, North Carolina, Wyoming. People are living out in the middle of Wyoming, Montana. They're going to these other places in the United States that don't have these problems the blue states have. And the left better start waking up, because the far left is completely taking over your party. And there are people, moderate Democrats, old school Democrats, Bill Clinton type Democrats, but they've been hijacked by the far left wing of the Democrat Party, and they're running the gamut on them, and they are ruining the Democratic Party. RFK Jr. has just recently started coming out to try to stop pharmaceutical commercials from being played on television. And I agree with that. When I was a kid, you never saw any of these problems. When I was a kid, nobody had any of these problems. Nobody had restless leg syndrome until they started seeing commercials for restless leg syndrome. And then all of a sudden, you're like, yeah, man, I think I got some of those problems too. And then all of a sudden, the medication is out there before you even have any of these ailments. And I think it's a great idea. So hopefully they can get that passed, because pharmaceutical companies are a multi-billion-dollar operation. And by them flooding the airwaves with their chemicals and their products and their pharmaceuticals, it skews the market, and they monopolize how we should get our medical care. A lot of people start going to doctors and they ask for the medication before the doctor gets to really diagnose them probably. That's a huge problem. And that's known. People do that all the time. So hopefully we can get some of those off the television screen and get some civility back to the pharmaceutical companies. They're still like, big time bad guys. But if we can stop some of that, maybe that'll help make us a little bit healthier again. The EPA administrator, Ed Zeldin, has froze $2 billion of aid that was earmarked for some organization that Stacey Abrams was in charge of. So we went over that before, how Stacey Abrams has been kind of manipulating the system and getting all this money, and they don't know where it went. Well, they just stopped that pipeline of funding for her. And today, Howard Lutnick and President Trump announced that the External Revenue Service is going to be operating next month. I don't know if that's the big news what Trump was talking about on April 2nd, but he's made a few announcements on his Truth Social about April 2nd. It's going to be a huge day, the biggest day ever. So we don't know. They're speculating that maybe he's going to get rid of the IRS, and they're going to enact their External Revenue Service by taxing some of these places and these countries that are bringing us goods into the United States. Instead of a tariff, maybe just taxing them differently than a regular tariff would be. That's interesting. So that was news that came out today. So it's actually happening. These things are happening very quickly. Trump doesn't have a whole lot of time to make these things happen. So he's going full steam ahead to try to push this agenda, because in another year and a half, the midterms start, and it's like a lame duck. None of those guys are going to be wanting to do anything. They're going to want to work on getting reelected. And that's what he's afraid of. If you're worried about why the speed and why the necessity for the rapid deployment of all these executive orders and things like that, is because he knows time is of the essence right now. And Doge has found that millions and millions and millions of dollars have been going to the SBA for loans to children. That's right, to children. So in today's little conference that they had with President Trump, they announced that they have children, 11, 10 years old, 9 years old, the youngest being 9 months old, that got an SBA loan. I guess Trump wants to call that waste. It's fraud, but it's waste. It's wasteful spending. So hopefully more of this keeps coming out, and hopefully the left will wake up and be like, you know what? We have to realize that the faucet is off. We're not going to get this money anymore. So we can either embrace it and be like, you know what, that's a good thing, or you keep going after Elon Musk and Donald Trump and calling them the devil for trying to get all this wasteful spending under control, because you're going to lose that argument. You're only going to be able to control a certain part of the population. After a while, you're going to lose them too. You'll keep probably 5%, 8% still under your thumb, but the rest will start waking up. Once the external revenue gets going, the Internal Revenue Service is abolished, your taxes start coming down in your paycheck. The stock market is up today. NASDAQ is up. Big numbers came today as well. So these things are starting to work. Hyundai just announced they're going to be building a plant in Louisiana. So like a $4.1 million plant investing $20 billion into the United States for those projects. That's great too. Things are starting to happen at a very rapid pace. So hold on to your seats. It's only getting better. And today, finally, Brad Garlinghouse was on Fox with Maria Bartiromo, and what he told her was regulations coming, and he feels these cryptos that are out there are going to start moving. Once we get regulation, about 5 to 6 months right now, which is already on the docket. He knows, he's been working with these guys. I'm sure he's helped write some of these laws, because it's very important for Ripple to make sure they move forward in progression instead of moving backward like they have been under the SEC. So he's saying once regulation comes in, a lot of these assets, a lot of these commodities with cryptocurrencies are going to be going ballistic. So hold on to your seats, watch the market, don't invest any more than you care to lose, and pay attention to it because it's very important. Anyway, that's it for today. Join me next time for a little chit chat, some observation, good old fashioned conversation.